Recorded at Mute 6 Studios. This is not your average entrepreneur or e-commerce podcast, and he's not your average host. This is The Story of a Brand with your host, Ramon Vela.
We are on a mission to make the fight against climate change easy, affordable, and accessible so that everyone can do their part. Now, what that means in practice is we have developed a technology to calculate and then offset the carbon footprint of e-commerce orders. And so we basically implement or integrate our API, our e-commerce API that is, kind of productized through a Shopify app, a BigCommerce app, Magento and others, to basically implement this, our API into our e-commerce brand partner websites to offer customers a way to offset the carbon footprint of their order, or simply make their order more eco-friendly in some way, shape, or form by simply adding a few extra cents to their order and making it carbon neutral.
Hey, did you know that loyal customers are 9 times more likely to convert compared to a first-time shopper? That's why exceptional customer service is so important for your retention and growth. And I recommend using Gorgias. Gorgias combines all communication channels, including email, SMS, social media, live chat, and phone, into one platform and gives you an organized view of all your tickets. This saves your support team hours per day and makes managing customer orders a breeze. Go to gorgeous.com to book a demo and mention the Story of a Brand podcast for 2 months free. Again, go to gorgeous.com to book a demo and mention the Story of a Brand, and you get 2 months free. Hey everyone, this is Ramon Vela, and this is another episode of the Story of a Brand. Like always, I have an amazing founder and company that we're going to feature on today's show. But before I do, as always, I have a question about gratefulness. So, Dane, do you remember a time that you can share when someone provided you with a level of support that just made you feel grateful because it meant that they believed in you or your potential or your vision? Do you remember a time like that?
Yeah, awesome, Ramon. Thanks so much for having me. I definitely, I see this every day. And there's, 3 people in my life specifically that come to mind for this reason. 2 of them are my parents. So my mother, my father, and the other is my girlfriend. And the reason for that is, the reason I say these 3 individuals specifically is just so much support that they have provided to me throughout my entire life, both professional and obviously personal, to kind of help me, kind of get to where I am, by, supporting me, not just on a, sort of emotional level, but also just pushing me forward. Right. And so sort of having these like expectations for me as a person, throughout my entire life. And that's, kind of forced me to, really kind of live up to my potential, as they saw it, and having sort of that idea kind of driven into me from such an early age, I think was really, really important for me, and something that I look back on and I'm very thankful for, both my parents sort of driving that home into me over time, since obviously I was a little boy, and then and obviously my girlfriend doing the same, in sort of the more recent years. But yeah, those are the 3 individuals specifically that I would call out here, because very important in terms of how I have, been able to do, live my life and do the things that I've been able to do.
Well, that is so appropriate, and I really appreciate you sharing that. And I just have to say that, and I can't overemphasize this enough, in that when we make a decision to be to do a business, to be an entrepreneur, to be a founder, we do this as an individual choice, usually, sometimes as a couple, but the point I'm trying to make is that we make this decision willing to sacrifice, willing to do all these things, but the people around us, our parents, our close family, our spouse or girlfriend, the loved ones, partner, they kind of are in for the ride. They don't really make that decision. And so they're kind of in for the ride. They're basically doing it indirectly. So they have, it's great that you're grateful for them and for their support, because it's just so important to have a support system. And it's important to remember that, we made the decision, not them, but the fact that they're supporting us is just like, it's just so awesome, right? It's just so amazing that they can support us in the way that they do. So yeah, man, I agree with you. And those are great choices to be grateful for.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more, Ramon. So no, great question. Thanks for asking.
Well, I appreciate it. And I just want to mention how grateful I am. I am grateful because, I have been wanting to do so many more things with our program. I've been doing this on my own for so long, and I'm so grateful to have amazing advertisers and sponsors, and who have helped me sort of maintain the show and keep going. But I always wanted to do a little bit more, and so I'm just so appreciative of all the folks who have been there for me. I do, by the way, want to point out too that EcoCart is also a partner and a advertiser in the show. So I appreciate that fact that you guys are help supporting the show and our mission. But I just want to let people know I'm just so grateful. If you listen to our advertisers, if you listen to our sponsors, Mute Six, OmniSend, EcoCard, Just Uno, Gorgeous, and all the others that you might hear on the show, do me a favor. Go visit them, go to their website, either follow our link or go to visit theirs, see what they're all about. I take a lot of time to choose really good sponsors and advertisers for the show. And I just think it's important. I mean, they help me in my mission. And so I want to help them in their mission. So as a listener, please do me a favor, check them out. They really mean a lot to me. And without them, I could not do this show. And that's literally. And I am so grateful for the other thing is that we just launched our website, thestoryofabrand.com. You can find all our shows there. Of course, you can go to Apple Podcasts if you like to listen to your podcast there, or Spotify, or iHeart, or Stitcher, or Google, or wherever you want to go. We're pretty much everywhere. All you need to do is type in The Story of a Brand, and you should be able to find us. But we also have our website, as I mentioned, and right now it's our show site, but we're going to start adding all sorts of new content. We're going to start adding videos, and we're going to start adding reviews of products and so forth. So just a lot of exciting things going to be happening on that. But I'm just so glad that I finally got it. We have 606 episodes now, so it took a little while to get a lot of those episodes up on the website, but we're finally there. And I just encourage you guys to visit the website, sign up for a newsletter. That way, each and every week you could know which companies that we're featuring and which ones are coming up. So thank you so much for that. And I really am looking forward to also launching a new show, which I'll be talking about very, very soon. So without further ado, let me introduce you to our main event for today. Let me introduce you to Dane Baker, who is co-founder of EcoCart. Welcome to the show, Dane.
Ramon, thanks so much for having me. I'm a long-time listener, huge fan, and very, very excited to be here. So thank you.
Well, this is a pleasure for me, primarily because I really am in alignment with what you're doing, and I love the platform you've created, the tool or the platform you've created to help D2C brands and other brands out there with this. And I know I'm kind of teasing people. I'm not exactly telling them what it is, but I just have to say, like, I'm in alignment with what you're doing. So I'm so thrilled to have you on the show. So why don't we level set everyone? Why don't you kind of give us a 100-foot overview of the company, and we're going to dive into your journey afterwards.
Fantastic. Absolutely. Yeah. So EcoCart, to kind of provide a little background on what we do and kind of how we solve the problem of kind of what we're trying to solve is, first and foremost, our mission is we are on a mission to make the fight against climate change easy, affordable, and accessible so that everyone can do their part. Now, what that means in practice is we have developed a technology to calculate and then offset the carbon footprint of e-commerce orders. And so we basically implement or integrate our API, our e-commerce API that is kind of productized through a Shopify app, a BigCommerce app, Magento and others, to basically implement this our API into our e-commerce brand partner websites to offer customers a way to offset the carbon footprint of their order, or simply make their order more eco-friendly. in some way, shape, or form by simply adding a few extra cents to their order and making it carbon neutral. And with those funds, we are then funding certified carbon offset projects like planting trees, building wind farms, sustainable agriculture, et cetera, thus balancing out the carbon footprint of that order or making it carbon neutral or net zero. And we have over 1,500 brands that we work with today. And so we are very excited to be partnering with some amazing brands across the industry, including APL and Adams and BarkBox and Siete Foods and Hydrant and June Shine and Olipop and many, many more. And so that's really our technology and our solution in a nutshell.
Well, I mean, that is a very concise overview, man. I don't like typically I have questions, but this is great. So I want to dive into, because I when I think of your company, what comes to mind is like, I don't know, it's just like a win-win situation for me. It's like you get to be an entrepreneur, you get to build a business, which is a calling unto itself, of course. Most entrepreneurs, most people who are non-entrepreneurs don't understand the fact that being an entrepreneur is almost like a calling. It's like something you got to do. It's just part of your makeup. But I love it when you're able to combine that with another passion, or with a passion of, or with something that is also as useful, which is the environment, ecology, et cetera. It's like you get two for the price of one. Like you're able to build a business, but you also have this thing that you're doing that's helping the world, helping the community, helping people. And it's just like a win-win situation. And so like, I don't know, I'm a little envious of you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. It's very true. It's very true. We all, at the company, the mission is incredibly palpable in our everyday lives. And it's something that, when times get tough, it is the thing that pushes us and drives us more so than anything else. And I feel very fortunate to be able to have a larger mission that is, so important in my own individual heart and mind, that I'm working towards personally, and that the company feels the same way. So yeah, I couldn't agree more. And it's something that it kind of drives our everyday decisions, right? And so kind of how we build product, like I mentioned, our mission is to make the fight against climate change easy, affordable, and accessible. Those three pillars are incredibly important to how we build product, and how we kind of, sell the solution, how we go to market, and how we talk about it to partners and prospects and individuals. And it's so important to kind of everything that we do, because we're trying to make the most frictionless, easy solution that enables everyone to make a very small change in their life, a very small action, which all together truly does, snowball into massive impact. And that's exactly what our solution is all about. And what, the kind of the ethos of the company and why our brands partner with us, because they feel that exact same passion, that exact same idea, in that if they, as a company, offer their customers this option, or if they're just making their own orders carbon neutral, even if it is a few cents per order over time, for, with a large enough sample size, that's enough impact to really make a difference. And if everyone felt that same way, if everyone had that exact same thought, then we'd be really in a good spot as a humanity and as a society. And so that's the sort of the crux of our mission and what we're barreling towards.
And we'll be right back. How do the most innovative companies reach mobile consumers? Meet Attentive, the text messaging solution trusted by innovative retail and e-commerce brands like CV2, Coach, and thousands of Shopify brands. On average, Attentive consumers see 25 times ROI and 18.5% of online revenue driven by SMS. Ready for SMS to become one of your top 3 revenue channels? Learn how to get started with your free trial by requesting a demo at Attentive Mobile. Yeah, I mean, I think I might have had this conversation with you before, but I've had this conversation with others. As a matter of fact, I had some this morning. And what I really love about what you're doing is that I think there's a lot of consumers now that love, and it's not just now, actually, I think, and it's not just one demographic, although I think it's a lot of people talk about how the millennial demographic and the Gen Z demographic are really, really, as a consumer, they're very passionate, or they feel very strongly about following and supporting brands that align with their principles or with their values. And so, they want to know more about the brands, which I think in some ways is the reason for our success on the show. And it's actually the reason why I started the show is that I wanted to know more. And I felt like I wanted to be in alignment with the brands that I'm purchasing. And so my goal with the show is really to connect consumers with these amazing brands and platforms and tools like yours, et cetera. But what I guess my point is that people do care, but also human nature is we care, we want to do something about it, we want this to be solved, but of course we have our lives, we have work, we have raising children, we have just living our lives and so forth. And of course the pandemic which is just something altogether new and different for us. But human nature is that we want to do stuff, but sometimes we just don't have time to do the things that we want to have solved, like the environment, right? Or climate change, or any of these others. What you're doing is you're making it easy for consumers to do this by giving them a platform that's very easy to do, and doing it while they're already doing something that they're planning on doing, which is making a purchase or whatnot. And then of course you're helping the brand on that side of it with and I'm not even talking about just looking good and the goodwill. Of course, all that is a given. But I've had conversations with brands, and many of them really care and they want to do something about it. And many of them are trying little by little to change their supply chains, to do different things to lessen the impact on the environment. But it is difficult. I mean, it is really difficult. Just so all the consumers and people know out there, the manufacturing process is not geared towards a sustainable process. It's geared towards what is most cost efficient and low cost. And that's just the way it is. And so if things need to change, we need to change them. But I love technologies like yours that give people an easy way to do it or do something now. I'm sure you hear this all the time, right? I mean, the way that you're helping these brands as well, and as well as a consumer.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Yeah, we really do. There's a pretty big appetite for our solution in the marketplace today that, obviously, fuels the company, grows the company, but more than anything, it's very, very heartwarming to hear, and to kind of feel and see that every day, because it's, something that the marketplace is truly interested in. Right. And that's because, and not just, brands that are reaching out to us that see our solution when they're shopping online like normal, at APL's website or anywhere on the internet, but also the consumer sentiment and the consumer usage of the solution. We actually see on average about 28%, so right around 1 in 4, actually just a little bit more than 1 in 4 consumers on average are actually clicking this box at checkout to add a few extra cents to their order to make it carbon neutral. And we've seen that, increase over time. When we initially were sort of launching to market, it was a lot lower. And it's something that we've gotten up over time through a lot of product iterations, a lot of increasing our level of transparency, having different elements of tangibility and transparency into the solution that kind of make this initiative feel real to the consumer, to the end consumer, and to the brand. And helping them leverage this throughout their entire customer experience is incredibly important as well. And how we've really been able to maximize the true value of the solution, because it is, at the end of the day, not only is it helping save the planet, but there's also so many branding benefits that come out of this. And our brands, and we do a lot to help facilitate this, right? It's definitely something to brag about, right? We have a lot of ways that our brands can highlight EcoCard or just generally their entire sustainability initiatives throughout the customer experience. That's really where our core competency is kind of showing brands the right ways to communicate to their customers all of the amazing things that they're doing. EcoCart being one of them. We encourage a whole holistic suite of sustainability initiatives in addition to offsetting, and we help facilitate with a good portion of that, and also help just kind of really bring about the right messaging and the right touch point to the consumer throughout the customer experience to really maximize that value.
Yeah, I mean, from an entrepreneur perspective, I love what you just said, but I also want to point out from an entrepreneur's perspective, what I'm interested in learning about the business and everything is about you. Really, it's because entrepreneurship is a difficult task. And even when you have a big why, it's still challenging, right? For those who are not entrepreneurs, a why, it can get you through the most challenging times, hopefully, and can get you, past all the frustrating moments and all the rejections and so forth. But sometimes even a big why is really challenging, right? But I hear a lot of people say this. I remember in particular, Nicholas from the founder of Flow Water, he says, when I asked him about advice, he was like, well, the two things you really need is just like, one is work hard, and then two is being naive, because typically if you knew exactly how much work something was going to take, you probably wouldn't do it, or you wouldn't take that chance. So it's not easy. What got you over the hurdle? Like what pushed you over the fence and say like, wow, I really want to do this. I want to take this on.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I've always personally viewed entrepreneurship as an amazing vehicle for change, right? So the way that I look at entrepreneurship and just, kind of just broadly, a career, right? Which is, probably more than half of someone's life. And the way that I look at entrepreneurship specifically within that is an amazing way to bring about change, and in a very quick and strong way. So there's just no better opportunity for scale than with a company that you are have started and are running on a day-to-day basis. And so that's kind of how I view entrepreneurship is an amazing vehicle for change. Now, the biggest possible issue or emergency that we're facing as a humanity, as a society, is the environment and the climate crisis. And so I've personally always looked at those two together as very hand in hand. And so the last company that I started was very in a very similar vein, which was we started an online peer-to-peer rental marketplace business. So we thought about the circular economy and how that's better for the environment than purchasing, especially the high plastic items that we were actually dealing with, which was kayaks and surfboards and snowboards, et cetera. And so we thought about it in that way. But over time, it just we truly lived the problem that we were trying to solve today, in that it was incredibly complicated and expensive to deliver a sustainable shopping experience to our customers. And that was the big light bulb moment that was, to me, was like, wow, I am over here trying to buy offsets. I'm over here trying to hire consultants, but nothing is working. Everything is prohibitively complicated, prohibitively expensive, and I can't really make it work with the company and what we're trying to do. And so it was kind of a trade-off. It was a give or take. And I was like, that shouldn't be how it is. And so that's kind of that pain point, that problem that just sort of stuck in my mind. And then a few years later, my co-founder and I just kind of rejoined forces, and we ultimately, started EcoCart because of this pain point that we both lived through. And so we kind of, again, started off, we thought to ourselves, there's an amazing opportunity here to make significant systemic change with just some small actions on a day-to-day basis of consumers. And we can do this by coupling offsets, carbon offsets, with e-commerce. And that's kind of how we started, how our solution, initially manifested, and kind of what we've, utilized as the vehicle for doing this over time. And we're really excited about what the future holds, because of the amazing results that we've seen so far. But that's really the reason, is all because we lived the problem ourselves, and figured there had to be a better way to solve this.
Yeah, I thank you for sharing that. And do you think, because e-commerce is a great sort of category or industry to kind of implement this, but it's not the only one. I mean, do you guys work with other industries, or do you plan on working with other industries? Because I love the fact that you're working in e-commerce. Of course, that's kind of what we focus on here, or the D2C market. But this just sounds like such a great idea. Maybe I'm getting too ahead of myself, but you have any plans, or is there a future vision to touch other industries, or maybe somehow expand this?
Yeah, we do. There's e-commerce has always been our initial use case that we are excited about, because it's so tangible, right? It's the most immediate, in the consumer's mind, the most immediate carbon emitting activity is their own individual consumption, and there's no kind of quicker way to see that than in last mile delivery, in a manufacturing process of a specific item that kind of has the whole thesis or aura of overconsumption. And that's kind of what e-commerce and commerce generally has become. And so that is what we found is the most effective first step in our journey, is to kind of apply this to e-commerce. Now, that also there's also a lot of opportunity to apply this on other areas and other use cases that we're excited about, and we're having conversations with some partners that are even outside of the e-commerce use case that are really proving out this use case or vertical for us outside of e-commerce that we'll probably be announcing here over the next few months and beyond. But yeah, there's some really exciting opportunities to apply this even beyond e-commerce.
Yeah, and as you were saying that, I was just thinking about one, and this is still in e-commerce, I guess, basically, or at least retail. But I was just thinking, as you were saying this, I was just thinking about my interaction, like at the supermarket or at a physical retailer. Whether it's a small retailer or a larger retailer, like a Target or a Walmart or something like that. It's interesting how there's always at the point of sale, sometimes they give you an option about rounding up to do this or rounding up to do that. That's actually kind of would be a neat case study for you, or like a use case for you, because I think if that would have popped up for me, I would probably say yes, right? I'm like, hey, would you like to round this up or round that up or whatever? Have you guys, are you making plans already to be in the point of sale as well?
Yeah, so we have a few pilots going for physical retail stores today. And that's something that's relatively new for us. Again, we started off with e-commerce specifically, but we're quickly expanding outside of that, and have a few really exciting conversations with some pretty, multinational retailers that would kind of prove out this sort of retail point of sale solution. And so the short answer is absolutely. I think that, again, last mile delivery is something that is very tangible for a consumer, but also so is the other elements of the life cycle of their purchases, of their decisions, right? So manufacturing is still a massive component of that, and is something that we actually calculate as a standard in our offset calculations, that we take into account a significant portion of the life cycle of a product, and then being able to apply that to physical point of sale is a really powerful thing. And so yeah, we have those conversations and those pilots, and that use case actually playing out today.
Yeah, and it just feels like this is such a win-win, as I mentioned earlier. Like, what's not to like about this, right? What's not to want to support this, at least from my perspective. I'm sure there's others who may feel different, but from my perspective, it's like, wow, this is just a great idea. It's a great, it's something I would support. Hey, don't forget to listen to part 2 of this amazing interview and stay tuned for a special message from me. Hey, thanks for listening. Listen, I have a big favor to ask you, and it will only take 30 seconds or less, and it would mean a huge amount to me. If you like our podcast, please let me know, please let my team know, and please let my guests know. And you can do this by easily subscribing to the podcast. It's probably the biggest favor you can do for me right now, and it will only take 30 seconds or less. And I would really, really be so grateful and so honored. Thank you. Until next time.